Good morning, traders. Thank you for joining me live today. It is September 28th, 2018, and I just want to apologize to you guys for not being here yesterday. We had some last-minute family stuff that came up, and family and veterans always come first to me. So if that means I shut down my trading day and skip a day of trading, so be it. Doesn't hurt my feelings any. So I'm sorry I wasn't there for y'all, but let's see if we can make up for it today. So we're going to start out on the bottom of the price action list and go through this. First up is going to be NBEV, and y'all are seeing it live with me for the first time, so I don't have anything that y'all ain't seen yet. They said it's 5:26, just before 5:30, and still got a good bit of pre-market action. So what did this thing look like? Not much gap up or down through the aftermarket trading hours. However, in the past few days, it had a major parabolic move up, had a massive short back down, and we petered out somewhere right in the middle between the top of this wick and where the bottom was. So today's price action, I'm looking at on the high side, if we get a, what do you call it? A washout long bounce. If it bounces back up, I wouldn't expect the price action to go much above $4.81. If they continue to short this thing down to nothingness before the weekend, I don't expect it to go much more than $3.73 before it catches resistance. Realistically, I really would be shocked if it gets outside of this pre-market action, and it really could go either way. We're just going to have to see if it breaks out of the $4.45 range here and holds, or if it breaks below the pre-market support of $4.09 and then drops on down south. But I expect to see this retested maybe, but the way it's looking right now, I'm kind of leaning more towards breakdown towards the support here, just because of where it's holding at. I just don't see it. If we trend line this thing, you know, you can obviously see it's losing a little bit of value there. But still got a ways to go before the market opens to really tell. Volume's also dropped off. People just are done playing with this for the week. Next up is going to be, let's take a look at, actually none of those have enough. You know what? IGC, that's had some buzz lately. Why did it have some buzz? Look at this. It shot up from about 40 cents per share all the way up to $4.80 per share. Yeah, it had a parabolic move up. It might be ready to short itself down. However, it has steadily increased in value throughout the non-trading hours. I did mark this off with a friend of mine just before I got online with y'all. Same rules apply. You've seen how I do it. So we'll go in here, take a little bit closer look, and you can see how it's steadily putting in higher highs and higher lows. So currently this thing is still uptrending a bit, and I don't see this thing dropping down. If we can break loose, if it doesn't break this pre-market high and it breaks underneath this trend line, then we might look at shorting it. But I would expect the pre-market action on this, or not the pre-market, the actual daily trading action on this, probably wouldn't break outside of the $7 range on the high side. If it does, expect it to shoot up. And then if it breaks down below the $4.74 mark, if it doesn't peter out at the 358, say goodbye to it and pile on in with the shorts because it's going somewhere. Just depends on how much action it gets behind it today at the start off of the bell. All right, and what does that look like on the daily chart? Bam. So if this will give you a little bit better idea of the parabolic growth we could possibly see. Okay, next up is going to jump us into the next higher price bracket with MU. And MU, we'll take a look at that and see, oh, it had a nice gap down. All right, let's mark this one out. Oops, wrong tool, isn't it? If it continues with the current trend, expect to see it retest the pre-market low, and before it decides to break down, if it decides to break down below the pre-market support, which is 44.35 currently, I don't expect to see it go much below about $1 worth of action around the $43.52 mark. If it can manage to reclaim the pre-market high of 45.18, maybe it'll go up to 46.01, but I highly doubt it. I firmly expect to see this one on the lower side here. What happened, it had its good times, it had its low times, had its good times, then it had a little bit more of a low time, more range, but also more consolidation. And that consolidation tells us that people just aren't sure what it's going to do. And then it had this big drop. So we did the consolidation thing again. I would be anticipating to see a little more of another drop. So really not expecting to see this thing break to the high side. All right, next up is going to be Bank of America, BAC. I don't like to trade it, but I do like to keep eyes on it. No idea why it's getting the action it's getting. I don't get involved in the politics. I just like the numbers and the charts and the shiny objects that move. Doesn't normally get a lot of pre-market action, so this is just kind of, but you see how choppy the action is. And over the last week or so, this thing has really just hit itself a red streak. And so what does that mean for us? Well, if it doesn't break this current trend, yeah, I got no problem seeing this thing trying to test a new low. However, if we're looking across here on the daily chart, we were to mark some of this off, I would expect to see a good bit of resistance here, which we're already below the 30.14, so on the high side. And then again, too, we've got to get past these. Well, any of these could give you some good resistance up in here. So this one I'm a lot less certain about. I mean, it could do anything. If I had to take a wild guess, I would say expect the pre-market action to hold out just right where it's at. And if it does break above, I'd stick to my guns with the $30.33 cap on the high side. And if it breaks below a 29.34 cap on the low side, but I don't know. We'll have to wait and see until the market gets closer to opening. But that's my story, and I'm sticking to it, and we'll check it out this afternoon and see where I was at. All right, AMD, my house favorite here. Lots of good range, lots of good opportunity. Let me clean this drawing set up a little bit, get some fresh one up in here. This thing had a little bit of a gap down over post-market, pre-market hours. That's okay. I'm not going to hold it against it. Come in here and mark this out real quick. I would expect to see a little bit more of a pop here at the as we get closer to the pre-market hours. Or I don't know why I keep saying that. Lack of sleep all week, I guess. But if we were to draw a trend line up in here, we draw that across, this might give us a good indication of what to look for. So if that pre-market action, yeah, it's going to be pre-market. One way or another, it's going to be pre-market. God, I can't talk today. Y'all try doing this and see how well you speak when it's like 5 o'clock in the morning and you've only had a couple hours of sleep. But basically, what I'm getting at is if we see a cover pop up in here, if it tests this trend line and rejects, I would look to see it hit the 32.11 or possibly even break it to the downside all the way possibly to 31.59. If it tests the trend line and manages to break it, then I would look to see it either peter out in the middle between the 32.11 and the 32.63, or if by some slim chance it gets above the 32.63, not expecting to see more than 33.15. So what does that work out range of motion for us today? Let's see. All right, 52 cents. So anywhere from about 52 cents a movement to about $1 worth of movement is what I'd expect in this thing. And you see AMD's been strong lately. We had some pullback last week, but you know what? This is just consolidation. This is people taking profits from all the money they made, continues to consolidate. So if you were to look at this, we are still in a triangle or wedge, whatever you want to call it. Let's see. We'll just go high to high. Let's cut this across here. Yeah, so we're firmly in a wedge there. I don't expect to break out of that wedge now. I really think we're going to, for lack of a less fun word, wedge further into the wedge before we decide to break out to the high side or the low side. All right, let's move on up into the next price bracket at $45 to $135, and we'll take a stab at it with the top of the volume, which is going to be BP. I don't like BP. It's shanked me too many times. It doesn't have enough range of movement, but I want to throw it in there just to see what we got. So I'm going to mark it out just so you, that's not what we want. You guys can see me mark it out, which it is not cooperating. Maybe you will not see me mark it out. Oh, I got the wrong tool. Never mind. If you can't tell, I haven't done videos for the public for very long. So for about a week, I'm feeling pretty good about this. But generally speaking, I'm still not entirely comfortable doing it, and it throws me off. We'll get there, though. Stick with me. As far as for it going up or down, I really can't say. I haven't really looked at this analysis close enough. Let's see, where are we at? We're above it right now at 46.87. Oh, yeah. 46.87. Wow, these charts are screwy. 46.24. See, I got 46.87 here, but according to my candlestick action, I'm at 46.24. So screw TOS. It's not really giving me good charts this morning. You see how crappy these candles were the last few days. No, I'm going to put this thing somewhere up in the middle of here and leave it there. Not even going to fool with it. We'll come back and look at it tonight. CGC, Canopy Growth. That is at, what is that? The Canadian Weed Company, right? Made some money off of this like last week or whatever. All right, we'll go ahead and mark it out. Just depends on, I've seen some kind of news about it, like I didn't even read it, but I saw something. So you might see a little more action out of it today. It had really good growth, then it consolidated. I wouldn't be surprised if this thing takes off again, but it might not be doing it today. It might be one of those things where this thing will be taken off on a weekday, not just prior to the weekend. So, yeah. Let's see. I'm going to draw this backwards. How about that? Yeah, look at that. You can do it backwards. You can do it forwards, backwards, whatever. Yeah, so I see this thing wedging up a little bit higher. If it breaks down a little bit, I don't expect it to go below that 48.25, which is currently. Guess we should draw a trend line there too. And of course, you're going to screw it up. There we go. Current trend line on the downside when you get the actual tool you need. Something like this. We're already on the higher side of the Bollinger Band, so yeah. Maybe this thing will change market sentiment. I don't know. Don't know. We'll see. Because it also, between close and then the very start of today, it did gap up just a little bit, but then it hammered back down. So I'll stick with this prediction here, or whatever you want to call it. But as far as for like just which side we're going to be on, it's either going to be between these two lines or it's going to be between these two lines. And I don't know. It's been popular. It's got good movement, so it will be on my watch list. Square, sitting at 63,000 shares traded so far today. With everything else we have going on in the market, I don't see Square getting a huge chunk of the attention. It may, you never know. It gets it from time to time. Market sentiment is a fickle thing. Sometimes the ones you think are going to get real good growth will, and other ones not so much. So you know how we did the analysis there. I'm just marking it out for you. I see this thing downtrending unless we break above the 98.19. I really expect to see this thing peter out somewhere in either at the 96.74 or maybe just below it at the 96.38. If the market gets way behind it and wants to just ram it into the ground, maybe it'll see 95.3. It was a little positive yesterday. If it does get some steam in it and you see that cover pop, if it manages to break the 98.19, maybe, just maybe, it'll reach the 99.63, and that will give you a possible range of price action by about $2.80 some cent. So yeah, if they get behind it and it starts to move, you can make some money off of it today. The rest of these I see I don't really like. Let's check out Cheesecake Factory. Ooh, it's been in some consolidation. I'm not even going to mark it out unless we start getting some action behind it, because there is no pre-market data to mark out. So maybe it'll go. Then Tesla, Tillery, Apple, NVIDIA, BABA, Facebook, all of those big ticket items. Let's just put them up there. I'm not going to give you the really intense rundown on these things. Just going to mark it out. I'm going to try to mark it out. How about that? You know what? We're going to clear all this out. No, we're not. Eventually, I'm going to clear it all out. Here we go. All right. It'll be down and dirty nice and quick. For those of you who like to mark stuff off, write things down, and otherwise pay attention, you do it however it sees fit to you. We have that gap down. Since it caught support, it's been on a steady climb. It had a nice rise yesterday, but then it slapped back down to nothingness. So this thing could well short back down for a little consolidation today. But somewhere between 170.85 and 165.45. What is that? About $5 worth of range. So not as much as you can see out of this thing, but still plenty enough to make you happy. BABA hasn't been doing so great lately. We're going to take the old BABA, clear out the drawing set, throw you a couple of fresh ones in here. It's Friday. We've been tapering off now for 6 to 9, about 3 months almost. And then you can see how choppy this thing has been. And if you wanted to get down to it, let's just draw us a support line across here. And we'll draw us a resistance line. How about that? So we draw us a support line here. So yeah, I see this thing, maybe it gains a little bit of ground and it comes up here. If it breaks out of this support that it has into this wedge, if it breaks out of that support to the downside, 163.92, you're still looking at about what, $3 to $4 range. Still good motion out of something that's not going anywhere. But I think with the trade stuff and the Tesla news and everything else, I don't see we're going to have that much movement out of it today. Could be wrong. NVIDIA, always a popular choice. Where she stops, nobody knows. I'm going to put that little drawing back on there. Come on. I had it there for a reason. I just wanted to clear off other stuff that I thought might be cluttering the screen. So, well, all right. So while I'm marking this out, just going to go ahead and plug it. You guys are starting to tune into my channel. You're finding me now. You've been following me a while. If you like the content, please shoot me some likes, shoot me some feedback. Let's get me started here so we can do more of the same, right? This thing has been on a growth. It had some consolidation, not consolation. I guess it's a consolation prize if you're getting beat by AMD. That'd be a consolation prize in my book. although between the two of them, I'm preferential to AMD. We are at the bottom of this triangle, so expect this thing could very well pop out today, or maybe this is the last day of consolidation, and Monday is going to be an amazing day for us. 278.87 on the high side, 261.26 on the low side. We have been at this for 21 minutes, so I've got a couple of minutes to do 3 more. Apple. Apple is just its own critter. Apple is big enough, it does what it wants. And Apple is not going to chart out very nicely for me. So you know what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to do this manually. So I'm going to come over here. Oops. All right, we had to do this yesterday. I don't know what is up with their servers. But the servers are not liking us right now. We're going to get this thing close enough, guys. Close enough. What's the old saying? Close enough for horseshoes and hand grenades. All right. So we had a good positive day yesterday. We had that gap up from that wick and price action was shoved down. But then what happened? It opened up. So it had a little gap up. Currently, this thing has been falling slightly. So unless it gains some major support here, I would expect to see that Apple might have a short day today, or at least part of the day is a short day. So if you see it break above this trend line, maybe it'll regain above the 225 and test the 226.68. If it doesn't break above this trend line, expect to see it retest the 223.61 and possibly break down to 222.09. Tillery, T-L-R-Y, call it what you want. It does what it wants. Let's see. We had a parabolic move to the upside. Then we had, you know what? Stop it. I hate you. Go away. All right. We had a parabolic move to the upside, and then we had a strong washout. And then what happened? We hit the bottom and caught some support, and this action here is what we would call a washout long. So you had the washout, and it hits bottom, boop, you get a cover pop. So that little cover pop makes people a lot of money, and then you're going to see some consolidation. So how does that consolidation bit work? Well, yes, it set new lows, and it's still setting higher lows, or yeah, higher lows. So if it managed to get above this trend line, expect to see it break up. If it doesn't, you might see a brief cover pop. But if it drops back below this, expect to see this thing hammered down to back around the 115 mark. But it's not out of the realm of possibility. It could see a little cover pop. I just don't see it. Usually they have one, maybe 2 good days of cover pop, and then they consolidate back down. Watch it make a liar out of me. Tesla had a lot of news. Old Elon's been doing his thing, right? And we're just going to throw, look at that range on this thing. Think it dropped 40 points overnight. Not what I wanted. This is just the morning to keep doing not what I wanted. All right, we're at the 25-minute mark. I promise we are less than 5 minutes from done. Sure, you're going to tune out whenever you want to, as long as you hit that like button and subscribe before you tune out, though. Appreciate it much. So, problem with the day like Tesla had is we lost 40 points in the pre-market action, right? So, what does that look like? This was actually huge, okay? Huge. Now, we know it's been falling in value after the comments and the questions about the security. It happened here, and then it shot back up, recovered itself, but then it fell flat on its face. So realistically, if we were to take out that brief high, we were to map this thing out, yeah, you had a cover pop, but then it dropped back. So if this is a reasonable trend line or something close to it, right? There's different ways that's not even really valid, but on a longer time frame probably would. So I would definitely be more short biased than I would long biased on it, but Tesla is one of those iffy ones. Comes out of nowhere sometimes. Now, how much pre-market action we had, let's look at this thing. If the market doesn't rally behind it and like, oh no, let's forgive him, you know, hey, they do stuff, you know, everybody's fallible. The market says, no, we still want Tesla. Great, you know, it might find some support here. If it breaks down, okay, Fibonacci wise, our next support is at 265. That's another $40 drop from where we already dropped last night. If this is kind of right, you know, I mean, that can be huge. And then looking at it on the daily, where are you going to find support here? So we'll look across here, right? That might be a good support range. So maybe we'll catch ourselves at 290. Maybe we'll catch ourselves here at 279. But if it can break either of those two ranges, man, this thing is just going to hammer down. So I can't wait to see what today is going to be like. For a Friday, I'm actually anticipating this might be exciting. Usually I tune out on Fridays because, what the hell, fun day Friday. Find something else to do. But today, I'm going to be tuned in because I want to see it. Anyway, hey guys, it's been a great week. Thank you all for the support and the love that y'all have shown me in my first week of testing the waters here on YouTube. Thanks for getting behind me. Hit those like buttons, hit the subscribe buttons. Come on over, join us at Boiler Room Trading. If not, at least, you know, give me a shout out. Come say hello on Discord. That's where I'm usually at most days. Easiest way to get in touch with me. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and process this video and get it uploaded to you guys. Try and get it out there. I doubt it'll make it to 6 o'clock mark. Well, I'll post the video publicly here at 6:30. And as always, this afternoon, I'll probably try and get back here and do a recap for you. We'll see how close these things were. All right, guys. See y'all this afternoon.